So I'm just getting the video ready. Okay, so for strongman, because we do have some people who compete in strongman, they've emailed me and we've talked about competitions and stuff like that. So training for it. So I don't want to leave you guys and gals out. So in strongman, it's kind of different because in powerlifting, you go to the event and you squat your best, bench your best, and deadlift your best. In strongman, they pretty much tell you what events are going to happen and they tell you what weights you need to be able to lift. So, for example, if you're doing a log press, they'll tell you it's 185 pounds for reps. And you're like, well, shit, I can't log press 185 pounds. Guess what? You're not ready to compete. So, bummer, bummer, bummer. But if you go and you see, okay, well, for the beginner category at this competition, they have the log press 185 for reps. Well, heck, I can do 185 for, sets of 6 to 8. Well, then you're ready, for at least for that event. So what you can do is you can just kind of pick an event, see what competitions, pick a competition. See what lifts and events they're having for that competition. See the weights for your weight category and see if you can do them. Practice them. So if they have farmer's walks at a certain weight, see if you can carry it for that weight. If they have, deadlift for reps, see if you can deadlift that thing at least once. If there's stone loads, good luck trying to find stones. So we do have them at our gym, but they are hard to find. So try your best to find the equipment that would be needed to compete with. And like, for example, we have people who strongman who come and visit our gym on Saturdays or Sundays and kind of use our equipment to kind of get experience on there, but then they might train at a commercial gym like during the week. So you might be able to find places that allow you to do that, and it's a good way to get your hands on the actual implements. And if you can do so, then that's basically what you want to do in strongman is see if you're strong enough to actually do the numbers for the competition. If you're not, well, then you got to keep training, okay? But at least now you have some goals in mind or stuff to aim towards. If you are strong enough, then hell, same thing as powerlifting. Make sure you can lift to the standards of that event. So for the events, for example, there's different rules. Like for log press, you should have to lock out your arms and bring your head to an uprighted position. So if all your repetitions you're leaning back with your head staring up at the ceiling and you count that as locking out, and you can do that for a set of 8, all of a sudden when you go to a competition, you have to like stiff arm lock out, bring your head through. All of a sudden you might only be getting 5 or 6 reps. So you have to make sure not only are you strong enough, but make sure you can do the events with the right quality and standards. So if you know you have the strength and if you know you have the competition quality and standards, then go ahead and compete. Because that's, again, how you get a baseline. That's how you're going to kind of get an idea to see where you're at compared to other people. So in powerlifting, it's helpful because there's a database. The powerliftingwatch.com, I believe, it's just a database of everybody who's ever competed. So I can look up and see, okay, well, if I weigh, 181, if I'm in that weight class, what are the normal, what are the kind of the squats that are out there that people can do at 181? And you can just kind of go out there and look in the database and see. In strongman, there is no database. So there's no database for what's the average weights for people who can do, say if I weigh 220, what's the, what's a good log press out there? There's really no way to know that. You can ask strongmen who've competed before. So I'm very fortunate that I do have a professional strongman that I talk to. And they'll tell me, if I have a question, I'll shoot them an email or a message or something. And they'll usually give me a reply in a day or two. So they're super friendly and helpful. So thank you. But that's a resource that I use is asking people who've been there before. So I do not have a pro card in strongman. I have trained people to win strongman competitions. I have not trained anybody to a pro card in strongman yet. But I enjoy it. It's fun. It's a cool experience. It's fun. The competitions are fun as hell. They're really exciting. But ask people who've been there before. That's the best way to know. Okay, so see if they think say, hey, this is what I weigh, this is what my log press is, do you think this is pretty good? They can give you a yes or no. If you don't have somebody to ask, like I said, you can look up the events list and see what weight they expect you to be able to lift. So if you can do the events, if you're strong enough, then like we said, get the competition standard qualities in place and then go compete. Okay? Now, we do have kind of the same resources available. So we have that Nutrition Concepts for Strength Athletes podcast at 237, okay, podcast 237. And then that podcast 258 does help you learn more about training for size and strength. And then also, like I said, we do have a $20 program that'll give you a format on how to train for a strongman. So it's a template you can follow and plug in your own exercises. So if you'd like that, it's $20. You can shoot us an email at brutalirongym@gmail.com, or it's free if you sign up for the $10 a month kind of patron to support the podcast thing. So, as you can tell, I don't like asking for business stuff, but it is helpful. So if you think the resource would help you, I want you to know it's available. So, but hopefully this gave you guys some good feedback or good ideas on whether you'd be ready to compete or not. Just remember that no one starts out as a pro. No one sets records their first competitions. And if you can think of somebody, the reason why you know their name is because they're such a freaking outlier that their name is like, it's, if everybody did it, we'd be like, oh yeah, Joe Blow from down from the street, he did it too, da 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 da. The fact that you can name the person and they're a complete stranger to you shows you how much of an outlier it would be that anybody was able to show up and just win an event. So in strongman, you're not going to be Brian Shaw. Okay, sorry. So you're not going to show up to your first event and just crush the whole world. In powerlifting, you're not going to be, Larry Wheels. So you're not going to show up and just crush the whole world right away. And in bodybuilding, we're not all Phil Heath or Ronnie Coleman. So, and Ronnie Coleman even he took him shows so to become Mr. Olympia. So nobody just wins everything right away. So don't worry about, whether you can win the event. Just go and hold your ground. Aim to just look like you belong. That is by far the best goal, okay? Just get your feet wet, get some experience. So make sure you're prepared. Make sure you have the quality of stuff needed to belong, whether that's, aesthetics or lift standards. So make sure you can go there and look like, belong, but just go and get some experience, okay? So just start when you know you can meet the expectations of the competition. Gain experience, analyze every freaking thing you do, and then the next time you do it, try to see if you can figure out ways to do it better. So it's just a live and learn kind of process. So over time, the more often you compete, you're just going to learn more and you'll make improvements each time and kind of get a forward momentum of every single time you compete. That's going to be the best way to stay motivated. So don't wait forever until, this perfect scenario. So just get going and get started, okay? Eventually your natural talents will show. And maybe you can get a pro card, maybe you can win an event. Or maybe it might just turn out that, you get to be above average and you enjoy it. That's not the end of the world if that's what it turns out to be for you, okay? So hopefully this helped. Hopefully it gave you some feedback, gave you some thoughts. Please check out those resources, those podcasts, because they give you a bunch of good background information, okay, that you can build from and get your own experiences. Cool. Okay, if you need anything, if you want any help, or if we didn't cover your specific sport and you have questions, email us at brutalirongym@gmail.com. If you like this information, you can find more from us on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter, Brutal Iron Gym. Also, if you like the podcast, please share it with family and friends. Please, please, please. The more people we help, the happier the world will be. And if you have any questions, feedback, or suggestions, we'd love to hear from you. Okay, the podcast is for you, so we know what you want to learn about. And you can tell us at our email, brutalirongym@gmail.com. As always, I hope this was helpful, and thank you for listening.